So, hello guys. Welcome to our YouTube channel. So what I want to do here is just a quick rundown on these two phones. This is the Galaxy S23 Ultra, the one I actually own. This is a work phone that I start using. This is the Galaxy A53. And since I've been using this since May, I just had some thoughts on these. Of course, you know, I'm locked into a contract or a payment plan on this one with T-Mobile for 2 years. And this is a work phone, so I don't own it, but I've come to kind of respect this phone in the few months that I've had it. I just want to kind of share my thoughts on if you're getting a new phone to really think about what you need and what you're looking for. Of course, this is a flagship phone. I've always got flagship phones. That's my personal preference. You know, the camera is very important to me. There's some night shooting features on this. It has the S Pen. Numerous features that it would take me an hour to list. But this is a solid phone depending on your needs, and I want to kind of go through that. So the next frame, I guess we're going to be looking at just the build quality, what the menus look like, which are almost identical, sound quality, video quality, and picture quality. So in just a second here, we will get to that. I'm going to put these things down very carefully. So guys, we're just gonna kind of skim over the specs on this thing, starting with the one over here on the left, the Galaxy A53 5G. It sports a 6.5-inch screen. It's Super AMOLED. The main camera is 64 megapixels. 4 to 8 gig of RAM. This one has, I believe, 4 gigs because it is the 128 gig model. 5,000 mAh battery. Pretty good for such a smaller phone. It's not particularly small. This does sport the Gorilla Glass 5. Glass pretty hard, but definitely not as good as this guy over here. This was launched last year in March 2022. Display is Super AMOLED, 120 megahertz. It is adaptive screen. The display on this one is about 800 nits. You can even see it's a little dimmer than the Galaxy S23. It launched with Android 12. It is now up to Android 13. It's updated since. This is running on an octa-core 2.4 gigahertz Cortex A78 display. It's an Exynos 1280, so definitely not a flagship display. This thing has 128 gig of memory in it. You do have other options, I believe, all the way to 512 on this one. The main camera is 64 megapixels. The ultra wide is 12, the macro is 5, and the depth sensor camera is also 5 megapixels. The LED flash, of course, this could shoot up to 4K at 30 frames per second, and of course your HD 1080 capabilities. The selfie camera is pretty cool, 32 megs. You have not much of a zoom capability, just the kind of a wide and regular display. It has an HDR capability. Stereo sound. I believe both speakers are on the bottom. So not too shabby. Now, Galaxy S23's flagship, 6.8, 200 megapixel main camera. 8 to 12 gigs of RAM. Since this is 256 gig model, this one has 12 gigs of RAM. 5,000 mAh battery. Same as the A53. That's surprising. Has all the standard 4G, 3G, 5G bands. It was launched earlier in the year, in February. Has the Gorilla Glass 6 Victus, so harder than last year's S22. It has a dynamic Super AMOLED screen, 120 hertz, HDR10 plus, and this one has 1200 nits, so it can go a lot brighter in the sunlight. It was launched with Android 13. There has been some other updates. I believe the One UI has been updated to start at 5.1. So it has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Generation 2. So the latest processor in it. This does not have a memory card in it, so that's why you must buy a higher. Hello guys, so continuing the comparison between these two phones. This is the Galaxy S23 Ultra on this side, and this is the Galaxy A53. The S23 is definitely the flagship phone. It is much larger. Screen size is 6.8. This guy is 6.4. The main difference, of course, is this has the S Pen, pretty much a continuation of the Note. Very small camera punch up there. You can barely see it. It's kind of hidden in the black portion of the screen. And the most notable difference between the other phone and this one is the large camera arrangement. These are absolutely huge lenses, and the main reason is to capture low light. Let's put this down for a minute. This is the Galaxy A53. It does have a good feel to it, definitely not as heavy. It's lacking the S Pen, but absolutely beautiful display. You saw the fingerprint scanner. It does have very good response time compared to the A51. Beautiful screen. I mean, it's still almost unbeatable if you compare some of the lower end phones. The bottom is a plasticky feel. I guess it's plastic. You can see that the cameras are much smaller. They do take very good pictures, but definitely do not have the capability of super low light. It has a Samsung logo, nice and thin. Feels good to the hand. This is a 6.4 inch, and this guy here is a 6.8 inch. So guys, the next few minutes of the video, you're going to see a comparison I did of these two phones when walking around the park. Galaxy S23 Ultra versus A53 5G. I took these videos early last week, taking pretty much the same pictures, same videos, trying to duplicate some of the settings. So let's take a look at those videos. So here at Landa Park, guys, to do a photo and video comparison between the phone I'm using now, the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and the Galaxy A53. Just going to take some pictures, see which one is better. And it is blazing hot. July 3rd. So doing a little testing here, video quality, Galaxy S23 Ultra, 1x zoom. This is a 0.6 zoom out, 3x zoom in, 10x zoom in. Notice if you zoom a little further, then 10x, you start getting blurry. And then back to the normal 1x. It's Landa Park, Galaxy S23. Kind of hiding out in the shade. And this is testing the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Super steady's turned off. 1x zoom. This is zoom out, 0.6, like super wide. 3x zoom. 10x zoom. Still pretty good, not so blurry. Zooming in deeper. Full 10x. It's not too bad. This is what's super steady on Galaxy S23. You only have 2 automatic zoom choices, 1x and then 0.6x. Super steady's on. So I'm gonna shake the phone around a little bit and we'll see super steadies. Noticing I'm shaking the phone right now. Land of Park still, Galaxy S23. Nice one. That was with the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Some stuff going on back there. You can see Venus over there. Galaxy S23 Ultra. Galaxy S23. Someone's doing Roman candle. Nice. Missed it. And this is testing with the Galaxy A53. Land of Park. 1x zoom. 0.5 a super wide angle. Then the 2x. And going back to the 1x. And then I'm going to try the zoom 10x. And you can see a little bit of graininess.
Don't you dare throw, man.
It's definitely not the same camera as the S23, but it's still very good. Back to 1x.
But you have done it.
Still very good for your basic shooter. Galaxy A53. Super Steady's on. There are no auto selections for zoom like on the S23. So the A53, it's just straight up. There is no zoom at all on Super Steady at all. It even tells you it's not available. A53. Let's shake it a little bit. Shaking the camera. Land of Park. Galaxy A53. Doing a little bit of shaking here. Super Steady's on. Samsung Galaxy A53. Almost dark video. Just testing. You can see the autofocus struggling there a little bit. July 4th. Fireworks going off in the distance. Put this on widescreen. It's not too bad. A53. Dusk. This is testing with the Galaxy A53. Here we go. Not bad. Galaxy A53, nighttime. Not much going on back there. You can see the autofocus freaking out. So we're looking at the camera modes here in the S23 Ultra. You can see there toward the middle you have your standard zoom settings, but there's 4 of them as opposed to 3 on the A53. You have looks like a 0.6, a 1, a 3, and a 10. And of course you have your pinch to zoom. Leave it on 1 by default. You have some other automatic zoom settings. You saw those down there. Night mode, again, you only use that in super dark situations. Put on a tripod. This has some higher resolution settings for the photos, but you got to get it out of 9:16. You have 3.4 200 megapixel. That will take an extremely large file size. You have a 3 and 4 resolution or ratio, 50 megapixel. Again, you're not going to get widescreen or 9:16 if you're going to use these high resolutions. So by default, I keep it on 9:16. The settings, they're going to look a lot the same as the A53. You do have more bells and whistles. Scene optimizer I leave on. Scan QR codes, keep the watermark off. Auto FPS, video stabilizations. You do have some high or higher settings, advanced video options here. You can do HDR 10 plus. Again, there might be some playback issues on some devices, so I leave it off unless I have a specific reason to do. You could do 360-degree audio recording, or you can just have the zoom in mic. So you could have one or the other. So definitely some higher functions as opposed to the S or the A53. In the video setting, you still have the 4 zoom settings right there: 0.6, 1, 3, and 10. For your resolutions, you have more options: 8K 30, UHD 60, UHD 30, Full HD 60, Full HD 30, HD 30. So definitely a lot more options in your video settings. It looks pretty much the same. You have video stabilizations. I have the same features turned off or on. Watermark is off. Video stabilization's on. You have a camera assistant. I don't use that. But right then and there, we can see that this is a higher level phone. So I'm going to get to my final observations or recommendations. So guys, I'm doing a screen recording feature here on the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and we will see in the display section there is some differences from the other phone. I'm going to do a screen grab of that phone also. But if you go to display, you do have your brightness, adaptive brightness. The other phone has that too. Motion smoothness is adaptive. I believe the A53 has that also. But there is no screen resolution setting. So you have the three settings: HD, Full HD. I have it on the highest possible just to get the best possible picture. But you won't see that setting on the A53. But everything else is pretty much the same. You have a light mode, you have a dark mode. And the only other thing I believe that's missing on the A53 is if you go down to some of the more advanced features. Of course, this one will have settings for the S Pen. But other than that, the actual menu and the looks almost the same. On the shortcuts, when you swipe down once and swipe down twice, the S23 does have a large amount of capabilities and features. I won't go through every one, but you can see that there's 1, 2, literally 3 pages, and you're going to have the S Pen Air actions, Dolby Atmos. I don't believe that the other guy has Dolby Atmos, the A53. The A53 has like 2 pages of these shortcuts, so they both have the brightness control. But other than that, some differences, but nothing major, and we'll get to the comparison here at the end of the video. So we're going to take a quick look here at the camera settings. The lens is closed, that's why it's black in the background, but this is the A53 5G. And you do see your standard settings here. You have a fun setting, portrait, photo, video, and more. If you go to more, this is your extra features. You have a pro mode, pro video, single take, night, food, panorama, macro. A lot less features than the S23 Ultra, but still pretty cool. You're not going to get the astrophotography on this one, sorry. Now, if you go back to the photo mode, you can see here you have your 0.5, zoom, 1, and 2. The S23 in the photo mode has 4 options. I keep this on 9:16. Under the settings, you have your standard settings here. I'm not going to go through each one, but I would suspect the S23 has a lot more. We'll see here in a minute. But as long as you keep your scene optimizer on, that's what I do. It scans QR codes, turn the watermark off, and high efficiency video, you don't want to have that one on because some players cannot render that. Video stabilization is a good idea to leave it on. Location tags, your choice. It does kind of take away your privacy a little bit. Shutter sound is on. I kind of prefer to keep that off. So I don't use this much. This is mainly a work device. So if you go back to your main camera mode here, the other thing to note about this, it does have a night mode. You could turn it on and off. That's that little moon symbol. And if you're in a situation that's really dark, using night mode, you can turn it on, but you must hold the camera still or use a tripod. Up here, you do have your aspect ratio. You can take your pictures in all different aspect. 9:16 is what everybody uses mainly. If you want to use the full 64 megapixel capability, you have to go to 3:4. Then you can shoot right there in the 64 megapixel capability. But I leave it by default on 9:16. So the video mode, nothing too exciting here. You have your 0.1, pinch the zoom. Of course, you leave it on 9:16. You have Ultra HD at 30 frames per second, Full HD 60. Let me go back here. You have Full HD 30 and then regular HD 30. So not too shabby. And in the video settings, you would just pretty much standard stuff. The high efficiency video, again, be careful using that. Some gadgets cannot play it. Auto FPS, leave it on. Video stabilization. Location tags, again, that's just a matter of your privacy preferences. Shutter sound is off. So pretty standard settings for this A53. Not too bad for a mid-level phone. So just going to go look through the menu selections real quick here on the A53. On the quick panel here, you can see that there's a little less settings than you would find on the S23 Ultra, which is to be expected. But at least you do have the screen recorder than all your other standard toggles. But we're missing about half of what the S23 has. It does have the brightness slider. In your settings menu, your notable changes are not that much, like I said before. On the S23, for your display, you have about everything. The only thing you're missing down here is the capability to change the resolution. And then under the advanced features, you're not going to have anything about the S Pen, of course. But that's really about it. There's the S23 is a flagship, so you'd expect those extra settings. On this one, it is just a mid-level phone. Okay, guys, thanks for watching those examples. So, just so that final observations on these two phones. I put the cases back on because I'm afraid to hold them without. But if you're looking for flagship level phone, awesome low light photography, astrophotography for the people that are interested in that, then the S23 is your phone. If you're a heavy gamer, this is your phone. Much more powerful processor. But if you're just an everyday user, just taking pictures, this takes gorgeous pictures, daytime pictures. If you're walking around on the city streets at night, it's still going to get good pictures. As far as running everyday apps, no issues at all. I bet you even some of the medium games this thing can run. It has gorgeous display, very good sound, speakers are on the bottom. So if you're just an everyday user and you're just looking for normal usage, long battery life, the A53, I would not be pressured to buy the S23. This phone will do everything you need, minus that low light and extremely power user experience. The battery on this lasts all day. They both have 5,000 mAh batteries. This one lasts me all day. So this is my personal phone. I'm glad I got it. But if you're not the high-end user, night photography, all that, then no reason not to get the A53. So I leave it up to y'all for your conclusions. But this phone really did surprise me. So thanks, guys, for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the like button, and also hit the bell to be reminded of any videos that we may post in the future. Thank you, and thanks for watching.